Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! Corbin stared at his reflection in the full-length mirror of his small apartment bedroom, the soft morning light filtering through the curtains. At 22 years old, he had always felt a pull towards something more delicate, more graceful than the rugged image society expected of him. His brown hair fell in gentle waves to his shoulders, a length he had carefully maintained under the guise of a casual style. But it was his voice that haunted him, a deep, resonant timbre that shattered the illusion whenever he tried to embody the femininity he craved in secret. Everyone in his life, from his college classmates to his professors, was well into adulthood, all over 18, navigating the complexities of young adult life just like him. He remembered the first time he had slipped into a dress, hidden away in the privacy of his room during his freshman year. The fabric had felt like a whisper against his skin, but when he spoke aloud to test the waters, his own voice boomed back, mocking the delicate lines of lace and silk. It was a betrayal he couldn't ignore. Determined to bridge that gap, Corbin turned to the internet, scouring forums and video tutorials for voice training techniques. He bookmarked playlists from experienced coaches, all promising to help modulate pitch and resonance through consistent practice. That very evening, after a long day of lectures on campus, he began. Sitting cross-legged on his bed, he warmed up with simple humming exercises, feeling the vibrations in his chest shift upward as he focused on his head voice. "Start low and slide up," the tutorial instructed, and he followed, repeating scales that climbed higher with each try. His throat ached after the first session, but he persisted, setting aside 30 minutes every night before bed. The next morning, he incorporated it into his routine, practicing while brewing coffee, modulating his vowels to sound softer, more lilting. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of dedication. Corbin would stand in front of the mirror, brown hair tucked behind his ears, and recite passages from books in what he hoped was a feminine register. He recorded himself on his phone, playing back the audio with a critical ear, noting the progress in pitch, but cringing at lingering depth. Ooh, he intoned, stretching his vocal cords like elastic bands. Friends noticed he was quieter in group chats, attributing it to stress from midterms, but Corbin knew it was his secret regimen, conserving his voice for practice. One rainy afternoon, after a particularly grueling practice where he nailed a full conversation in a higher pitch without cracking, his phone rang. It was Professor Harlan from his literature class, calling about a missed assignment. Corbin answered, instinctively slipping into his trained voice out of habit.
"Hello?"
he said, the word emerging light and melodic. There was a pause on the other end. "Gabriella? Is that you? I must have dialed the wrong number. I was trying to reach Corbin about his paper." Corbin's heart raced, a thrill shooting through him.
"No, Professor, this is Corbin,"
he replied, maintaining the pitch effortlessly. Another beat of silence. "My apologies. You sounded just like Gabriella from our seminar. Anyway, about that extension." The call ended quickly, but Corbin sat frozen, replaying the moment. Shocked and elated, he realized his weeks of effort had paid off in an unexpected way. The professor's mistake wasn't just a fluke, it was validation. For the first time, his voice aligned with the image he held in his mind. That night, he didn't practice. Instead, he dreamed of stepping out as his true self. Inspired, Corbin decided it was time to fully embrace this side of him. He rummaged through the hidden box under his bed, pulling out the floral pink sundress he had bought online months ago, but never worn outside. The fabric was light cotton, adorned with tiny roses that danced across the hem. He paired it with simple white sandals, the straps hugging his feet comfortably. Standing before the mirror again, he adjusted the dress's straps, his brown hair framing his face in soft layers. With a deep breath, he practiced a few phrases, ensuring his voice matched the vision.
Hello, I'm Gabriella,
he said aloud, the name feeling right, borrowed from the coincidence but now his own. Stepping out into the bustling college town was both terrifying and exhilarating. The streets were alive with students hurrying to classes, all adults in their early 20s like him, chatting about exams and weekend plans. Corbin, now Gabriella, walked with careful steps, the sundress swaying gently in the breeze. Heads turned subtly. A few smiles came her way, but no one questioned. She stopped at a cafe, ordering a latte in her practiced voice, the barista responding without a hint of doubt.
Coming right up, miss,
he said, and Gabriella's confidence bloomed. As the days turned into a week, Gabriella integrated this new self into her routine. She attended lectures in subtle feminine attire, always ensuring her brown hair was styled neatly, perhaps with a clip or two. Classmates whispered at first, but the college environment was progressive, filled with young adults exploring identities. One evening, after a group study session, the real Gabriella approached her in the library, tall and poised, with long auburn hair and a warm smile. The 21-year-old had heard the rumors and pieced together the phone call incident from mutual friends. I couldn't believe it when Professor Harlan told me, she said, sitting down across from Gabriella. You sounded exactly like me. But seeing you now, it's like looking at a sister I never knew I had. Gabriella blushed, her voice steady and feminine. I didn't mean to impersonate you. It just happened. I've been working on my voice for a while. The real Gabriella laughed softly, her eyes kind. No offense taken. In fact, it's flattering. And honestly, you pull it off beautifully. If you're open to it, I'd love to help you refine things even more. What followed was a blossoming friendship. They met regularly in the campus quad, under the shade of old oak trees, where Gabriella, the original, shared tips on vocal inflection. Try adding a slight lilt at the end of sentences, she demonstrated, her own voice a model of grace. It makes everything sound more engaging. The new Gabriella practiced diligently, mimicking the cadence until it became second nature. They discussed posture, too, how to carry oneself with poise, and soon walks around town became joint adventures, both in sundresses, laughing over shared stories. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves crunched under their feet during a stroll through the park, the real Gabriella pulled a neatly wrapped package from her bag. I saw this and thought of you, she said, handing it over. Inside was a beautiful blue satin blouse, its fabric shimmering like a calm sea, with delicate buttons and a flattering cut that would complement Gabriella's floral sundress perfectly. Tears welled in Gabriella's eyes as she held it up. It's perfect. Thank you. Wear it with confidence, her friend replied, hugging her tightly. You're already shining. From that moment, Gabriella's wardrobe expanded thoughtfully, always feminine, always affirming. She layered the blue satin blouse over outfits for classes, its smoothness a constant reminder of support. Mornings began with voice warm-ups, now a joyful ritual, her brown hair brushed and styled as she prepared for the day. Evenings were spent with her new friend, exploring boutiques or sharing meals, discussing everything from literature to dreams. As winter approached, Gabriella found herself volunteering at a campus event, her voice clear and feminine as she greeted attendees. The real Gabriella stood by her side, their bond unbreakable. Professors adapted seamlessly, addressing her by her chosen name, and classmates included her in social circles without hesitation. One particularly snowy day, they huddled in a cozy dorm lounge, practicing harmonies for fun, their voices blending in unexpected harmony. Gabriella's confidence grew with each passing interaction. She joined a theater group, auditioning for roles that suited her range, her brown hair tied back in a ponytail as she delivered lines with emotive flair. The director praised her natural talent, unaware of the journey behind it. Backstage, the real Gabriella helped with makeup tips, ensuring everything enhanced her features without overwhelming. Spring brought new challenges and joys. Gabriella decided to update her official records at the college, a step toward permanence. The administrator, a kind woman in her 40s, processed the forms efficiently, all while chatting about the warming weather. "Everyone here is an adult, making their own paths," she said encouragingly. With the blue satin blouse becoming a staple, Gabriella experimented with accessories, simple earrings, a necklace that caught the light. She and her friend attended a poetry reading, where Gabriella read a piece she had written, her voice carrying through the room with poise. Applause followed, and afterward, strangers complimented her, mistaking the duo for siblings. Summer break loomed, but Gabriella had no intention of retreating. She planned a trip with her friend to a nearby city, packing feminine outfits exclusively, her brown hair ready for new styles. They boarded the train, excitement buzzing, discussing future aspirations, perhaps graduate school, or even starting a support group for others exploring identities. Upon arriving, they wandered vibrant streets, trying on hats in quirky shops, laughing as Gabriella's voice drew friendly banter from vendors. At a quaint bookstore, they lost hours browsing, emerging with armfuls of novels. Evenings were for quiet dinners, where conversations deepened, sharing vulnerabilities and triumphs. Back on campus for the new semester, Gabriella took on a leadership role in a student organization, her feminine presentation unwavering. She mentored newcomers, her voice a beacon of encouragement. The real Gabriella, now a close confidant, gifted her a matching scarf to the blouse, weaving their styles together. One fateful evening, as they walked home from a late study session, a storm brewed overhead. Thunder rumbled, and rain began to pour. They dashed for shelter under a gazebo, drenched but giggling. "Look at us," the real Gabriella said, wringing out her hair. "2 peas in a pod." Gabriella nodded, her brown hair plastered to her face, the blue satin blouse clinging slightly. "I couldn't have done this without you." As the rain intensified, a figure approached from the shadows, umbrella in hand. "Need some cover?" the stranger asked, voice familiar yet out of place. It was Professor Harlan, smiling knowingly.
Gabriella and Gabriella. Quite the duo.
They chatted briefly, but as he left, he mentioned offhand,
"There's someone from the alumni network who'd love to meet you both. Something about a unique opportunity."
Intrigued, they exchanged glances, the rain easing. What could this mean for their futures? As lightning flashed, illuminating unknown paths ahead, Gabriella felt a spark of anticipation and a hint of mystery. Hope you enjoyed the story so far. The rest will be available on Patreon.